Insta 360 Twin Edition, my thoughts after 4 months. So I got this Insta 360 Twin Edition like 4 months ago, and I've recorded some stuff already. Like, I guess I filled 250 gig card 5 times already, so plenty of footage. This probably equals like 20 to 25 hours of recording. So I got some experience with it, and I'd say there are more pros than cons with this setup, although there are some annoying cons. The funny thing is that when Insta introduced their first 360 camera, I think it was Insta X, then I thought it's really stupid to record 360. I didn't catch the idea. But then I wanted some action camera, mostly this module, but since the twin version wasn't much more expensive than the 4K itself, I opted for the twin version, and actually I almost exclusively shoot with the 360 mode. I'm not very pleased with the image quality this one produces, and also with the limitations of the 4K module. So in most cases I choose this one, and I say I got the idea of recording 360 footage, and I would say it's a really amazing idea. I got Blackmagic 6K, I got Sony a6600, I got some other cameras which can record amazing video, but still for some scenarios I choose this one. And lately we've been on holidays, I almost exclusively used Insta1R with 360 module because of the scenarios. For example, we've been kayaking for 4 hours, and when you're kayaking, there is a big risk of having an accident and fall out from the kayak into the water. So if I use any of my, let's call them pro cameras, there is a risk I would destroy them. None of them would survive dropping into the water. This one, it would. And also, when you're kayaking, you got your both hands busy, so you cannot frame anything. And actually, I've been recording with a head mount. When we were kayaking, it was somewhat like that. And funny thing is that the camera been mounted like that, and the footage you get is still correctly presented. So the horizon is when the horizon is supposed to be, and you got this 360 footage. Yes, there is a stitching line in the middle, but I haven't got a helmet and a helmet mount. Actually, on the helmet that would be better, but I haven't got a helmet. I got helmet mount, but haven't got a helmet to mount it. So I've been recording in this position, and surprisingly, the footage turned out really nice. And also, when you kayaking, there are some surprises. You just turn the corner and there is some rare species of a duck, or this rare species of a duck with small ducklings, and if you just pull out the camera and start recording, they will be already gone. But if you got this action camera on your head and you're already recording, then you got all the surprises recorded. So it is really nice thing. The con is that you got like 4 hours of footage, and 90% of this is not interesting at all unless you like the surroundings, which are really nice in that case, but it would be quite boring to watch it. If you record all the time, you actually got all the amazing actions. So that was one scenario I've been recording lately, and we've been kayaking 3 times, and actually each time there were some interesting things to record. With help of this 360, I'm able to record everything around me, and even if the surprise was behind us, I've been able to record somewhat, because if I get camera here, some of the footage is blocked by my head, but with the helmet mount it would be all the 360 footage available. So in that scenario, it is much better than any conventional camera. And also, we've been in the rope park. I got 3 members of my family using the rope park, and I've been able to record all of them at the same time. And even if they were on a different obstacle, I've been able to be between them and record both at the same time, and then edit the footage in post to choose the interesting part of it. And so it's been really useful to be able to record 360. And with the camera of that size, you are able to create unusual angles which you wouldn't be able to create with the conventional camera. So for example, with the long selfie stick, this one is like one, and this is like 4 feet selfie stick, plus if I got the handle from the Zhiyun gimbal, I got 1.5 meters, so 5 feet, and together with my hand up in the air, I'm able to put camera like 4 meters above the ground, so I can create drone-like footage, and actually I can fly through leaves or branches without destroying the drone. So it is really nice. And also you can create low angle shots, like actually you can put the camera almost on the ground or on the ground and create some unusual angles which I say look dramatic, especially if the kids were swinging up above, so it exaggerates the height. So it is very, very easy to create some strange and creative angles with such small camera, and especially if you got 360 module. At the same time, you may create few angles for few different people, or you can edit in post like the 360 panorama or whatever you want, like the zooms or a different effects like tiny planets and stuff like that. So at the beginning I thought it's stupid, but you can get really creative with it. Although I'm not that experienced yet with all the possible angles and all the possible effects, yet I'd say for such scenarios it is the best choice over the conventional cameras. So I use the 4K module. In such scenarios I tried to record kayaking with it and it turned out quite lame. First of all, it is hard to frame correctly with this, because if it is mounted here, if you move your head up or down, or if you shake your head or you turn your head around, then sometimes the framing is really bad. But if you got 360 camera, however you move, you record everything around you, so it is actually quite useful. So for kayaking, this one is not a good option. It is probably a good option for vlogging, maybe some action scenarios, but I'd say 360 module is 90% of the time on my camera, and this is rarely used. Also, it is nice to record when you are using a scooter or a bike or motorcycle. I do not have a motorcycle, but I use this on a bike, I use this on the scooter, and there are plenty of options to shoot. There are some examples, although they are not very good. Yet I've been trying. It's just the first footage I've recorded on my scooter, but you can get really creative with the 360. You can edit unusual things in post. So I'd say you got more opportunities to create some interesting shots with this than with the conventional camera when you are riding something, or you are kayaking, or you are doing some sports. So 360 in that case is a really, really nice thing. A part of the being 360 itself, the big pro is that this camera records quite a nice sound quality. But if you are not happy with the internal mic, you can just connect your lav mic via USB-C. The module is something like 20 bucks, maybe even less. So the quality is much, much better. Then I got that module. So you can connect it like that, and then you connect your mic here. But if you use this thing, then you lose the waterproofness. So it is only, I would say, it's only recommended when you record on land, vlogging or something like that. Although you get even better quality of sound than from the internal mic. So there, it's an option. This got really amazing flow state stabilization. I think it's based on the gyroscope, but the con of this stabilization is that the stabilization happens in post. So you have to use either Insta 360 application on your desktop or application on your mobile. I prefer the desktop one, but the stabilization happens, I'd say, on the fly or when you're exporting the footage, so you don't see any impact of stabilizing the footage, like for example on a Sony A7S III or A7C. You have to use this application to edit the footage. You need to use this anyway because any other app does not support this 360 footage, so you have to use it anyway. But the app is quite annoying, so there is no 2 times or 4 times play speed, so you waste a lot of time spent in this app, but it is what it is. There are also some cons which are quite annoying. So 360 module got 30-minute record limit, and when you hit the 30-minute mark, it stops recording and then it saves the footage, and it takes between 2 and 5 minutes. So during these 2 or 5 minutes you do not record anything, and then when it finishes saving these 30 minutes, then it starts over and records 30 minutes again, but you lose some time between. There is a sound indication that this happens, but it might be annoying. For example, when we've been kayaking, I lost like 2 interesting moments because of that. So this might be quite annoying, so you have to be aware of this. When you're using 4K mode, the record limit seems to be 1 hour. The 360 module is 5.8K, which means there are 2 sensors and each is 2.8K. So there is not much room to zoom actually. So you can see in that example, then when I zoomed in, the footage actually got really bad. It's like recorded from the 20 years old cell phone. Like the resolution is really small, and also it seems that the footage itself falls apart. That means you have to plan your takes more carefully, and in some cases it won't be possible. So for example, when we've been in the road park, I haven't been able to reach my subjects all the time with camera quite close to them. So whenever I recorded from far away, when I wanted to zoom, then the quality wasn't that good. If you do not crop, the quality I'd say it's quite good. It is still worse than any conventional camera, for example APS-C sensors or even Micro Four Thirds, but I'd say it's quite nice for the size of the camera, so no complaints if you do not crop. What is also quite annoying, that this got Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, and there is no way to turn it off. So first of all, it uses some power, probably I guess it's like 10 to 20% is just used because the Wi-Fi is turned on. Maybe there is some kind of the standby, I don't know, but there is no option to turn it off. And especially if you got it mounted like that, I'm not very pleased of having Wi-Fi source on my head in such a small proximity. So I would like this to have an option to turn off the Wi-Fi, especially that I'm not using in most cases the application on my phone, because this phone is not able to run this application, and the other phone I got in most cases in my drawer, so I do not take it while I'm recording. It probably would be it would be probably useful with the 4K mode to have a cell phone with the Insta app, because you can frame it thanks to the app and the live view, but it is, for me, it's cumbersome, so I don't use it. Would be nice to have the possibility to turn off the Wi-Fi when you don't use it. Connected with the topic is the activation of the camera. When you got it, it's not activated, and you cannot run it unless you activate it via mobile app. So you have to install this mobile app, create a Insta360 account, and then activate the camera. It is annoying process. It takes like 20 minutes or more, and you need to have the phone which supports the application, which is not that easy. So only newest Android phones are supported, and some new iPhone models. So this is quite annoying, and you should be aware of that, because you might be surprised. I know some people send back the camera because they haven't been able to activate it. For me, it is just stupid. And what is also quite annoying, that sometimes when you turn on the camera, it turns on in a photo mode. For example, I've been using that to record something. I recorded 3 movies. I turn off the camera to change the battery. I connect the battery, new battery, and I turn it on, and it's in photo mode. So I press record and just takes 1 photo. But might be the case that I got it mounted somewhere, and I turn it on, press record, it just takes a photo, but there is a beep, so I think it's recording, but actually it just takes 1 photo and it's not recording. So it is quite annoying. It got better after the latest firmware update, but it also still happens, so I don't know what is the reason. but you have to be aware it is quite annoying. Insta360 advertised their 360 cameras with the catchphrase shoot and frame in post. I'd say it's not quite true, because there is a stitching line, so sometimes if you frame wrongly you get the stitching line which does not look good, especially in the close-ups. So this is the example of such thing. I should use the camera like that, but instead I use this like that because it was easier, and at the end I got this stitch line which doesn't look good. But with practice you learn, so probably after few uses of the camera you knew how to direct the lenses actually. But also quite important is to direct both to get quite the same amount of light in each, because for example if the sun is here and you direct like that, the auto exposure would create really dark image on this side, because it would see that there is a plenty of light here, and I got few examples of when I've been recording like that, and the footage I've been really trying to record with this lens, it was really dark. So you also have to be aware that you need to put both lenses so they got same amount of light, and in some cases when you want to frame correctly, then might be the case that it's not possible. That's why I made a few mistakes, because I wanted to direct them to get more or less the same light, and then I got the stitching line on the subject, which is not pleasing. So you have to be aware that this is just a catchphrase, but it's not 100% true. You need to be aware how to position the camera to get the best results, either regarding the auto exposure or regarding the framing. So I'd say you need some accessories for this camera. The camera itself is not that easy to use, and to create some more creative angles you need some additional accessories. So the camera comes with this cage, so you need something to attach the case to. There is a small battery inside the cage, but to change the battery you need to open the cage, remove the camera, put new battery, so it's quite annoying. So I am actually not using this battery at all and the cage, because I opted to use the boosted battery, which got double the capacity, and it is enough to record for 2.5 hours, 2 at least, with 360 mode. So with 2 of them, I got 2, you are able to record for 4 hours almost straight, because you have to spend some time to change the battery, but it's not very tedious. And so the boosted battery comes with these flaps which acts as the mounts, and there is a magnet which keeps them up if you don't use them. So for example, you can use the camera, but there is some play in them. So with this head mount there was not much play, but it depends on the connector. So as you can see, there is much play with this connector, which is I think original connector I got with the camera. So it introduces some shake when you're riding a bike or just moving, so the battery itself wobbles on it, and the camera together with the battery, which is quite annoying. Yeah, the camera got really nice stabilization, but it would be nice not to introduce additional shake during recording. So especially it is especially visible when you're riding a bike or a scooter and it's mounted on a handlebar and it shakes like that, so quite annoying. But the boosted battery gives you more juice, although with the cage you don't introduce any shake, because this mount is fixed, so it does not shake that much or at all. But I prefer more power, so I only use the boosted batteries actually. And if you get boosted batteries or more than one battery, the thing I recommend is this dual charger. It is the original one. There are some other chargers on the market, but the price is exactly the same, but this is really small and it is USB-C. And if you use the quick charger, you can charge both boosted batteries within 2 hours, so it is quite effective. So I'd say it's a must, because you can charge it via USB port, but it's quite annoying. You have to open this flap, put the USB-C charger, check it, that there is a diode blinking, but it is quite confusing. So the charger, I'd say, is must have, although it's quite expensive, like 50-60 bucks, something like that. this original Insta 360 selfie stick is quite nice and useful, especially if you want to create these drone-like shots. But the quality of this one is not the best, because this screw unscrew itself, and also this mount unscrew itself. So I got it unscrewed several times. I wanted to unscrew camera and screw it to something else, some different mount, and it turned out that this unscrew itself and it was stuck in this mount, so I wasn't able to connect it to something else. At the least price, the quality is, I'd say, not enough to justify buying this one. There are other options. But together with the handle from the gimbal, I can use it as a stand or extend the reach, which is quite useful. So I can put camera 4 meters up in the air with this stick. There is one longer, I think it's a 6 feet one, and there is one shorter, bought from Insta. But I also got this small, it's like the selfie stick for vlogs. It is quite useful, I'd say. I used it a few times, and with either with 360 and 4K mode it works quite nice. And instead of the screw, you got this quick release rod, but it's actually not a quick release. It takes longer to connect your camera with this, because you have to align all the holes, and it's quite annoying. Yet it is nice, and also got the stand, so, and it's comfortable to use because it's rubber handle. So I'd say some selfie stick is a nice thing to have if you do not plan to use some weird angles. The small one is enough, but I'd say having both is a nice option. And actually I got a really cheap set of clamps. So for example, there is this head mount, the chest mount, the swimming mounts, the wrist mount, and all other mounts, and it was 30 bucks, I think. It's a Chinese quality, but some of the accessories are nice. Like this head mount is really nice. I think it's the same quality as the original one you got from Insta. So it was a nice buy. I also got original Insta bike mount setup. So there is a clamp, there are some mounts for the helmet, and some other accessories in the setup. It was quite expensive, like, I don't know, 30 bucks, maybe 50 bucks even. But I'd say the quality is not the best, because when it's mounted on the handlebar, it rattles, especially this moves really bad. So I'd say much better option is Manfrotto super clamp. And with the super clamp, you can mount it on the frame of the bike, on the frame of the scooter, on the handlebar, and whenever you want, actually, because you can mount it onto the flat stuff, or you can mount it like that to round pipes. So any pipe you can connect it, so that it could be a stand, that could be a bike frame, that could be a scooter frame, motorbike handle, and stuff like that. Yeah, it's quite big and robust. And annoying thing is that this handle got only one angle to it, so sometimes it's quite hard to screw on something, because there is no spring in the handle when you can change the angle of the handle and screw it in. So sometimes you are limited by this. I think Manfrotto should fix the design and put the handle with a spring when you can change the angle of the handle, actually not turning the handle. But it is much better. I got 3 of them, and one is actually all the time on my scooter on the handlebar, and it is very solid connection. There is nothing wobbly in it, so camera connected to this is really stable. The original Insta bike mount, I do not recommend this. It's all the time in the box. So there are some other accessories available, some sets from Insta, but I opted only for those, and I'd say for me it's enough. I need to find my helmet to attach the sticky ones. So you got 3M double-sided adhesive, and you got these mounts. I got like 4 of them. So I guess that would be the best option for recording action from top of your head. But I somewhere lost my helmet, so. But I say I'm quite surprised with the quality and features and shots you can get with this small camera. So positively surprised, and I'd say it's quite nice. Although this got these annoying quirks, you have to be aware, like the record limit or activation via cell phone. But when you get used to it and go through the activation, then it is quite useful piece of gear. I'm quite happy about it, and the stabilization is really nice. I'm using that flow state stabilization because there is also a so-called basic one, which is not that great as a flow state one. But actually, with the stabilized footage, sometimes you see some artifacts, especially, for example, if you're riding in a forest, there are plenty of leaves, and when the image is stabilized, that these leaves looks really weird. But there is a small con to the actual stabilization quality. If you do not have 360 camera, I can recommend this one. Although if you want smaller package, there is a X2 lately. The X2 got smaller battery and it is not modular build, so you cannot get the 4K mode or 1-inch mode or whatever, and you cannot change the batteries, you need to charge it. And also you can power this camera via USB-C, so actually you don't need a battery attached to use it, but it would be probably very cumbersome to do so. But it's a possibility when you, for example, run out of juice from the battery, you can power this from the USB-C. So yes, I recommend this one. I'm quite pleased with it, but you need to be aware of the corks. Cheers, mate!